Yo, what's going on? Simple here, and today I want to do another tier list. The Xenomorph alien is finally out in Dead by Daylight, and I've been playing him quite a lot, and I think I've got a good grasp of his power. I've got a decent idea of what he can do, and I've also played some killers that I have not played in between the last tier list, which has been a while back. So I think I'm able to rank them a bit more appropriately now. And since I've been asked to do this, here it is. Now, always keep in mind, as per usual, this is my opinion, this is how I perceive it. Dead by Daylight, it's an asymmetrical game. There is no such thing as balance, there is no such thing as definitive tiers. There is only general situations that you can put the characters in, and you can say, yep, on average, they perform like this. On average, they perform like this. Now, how's that different from kill rates? Well, I just like to take into consideration how it feels to play the character instead of just, seeing the results. Because sometimes you can, get really quick downs in a succession, which makes the killer really strong in a certain scenario and really fun to play, but doesn't reflect in kills because they all get up, but it's still strong to do. Now, as I was saying, give me, it's my personal opinion, give me your thoughts on this, and let's begin. Starting off with my main, Trapper. Oh yeah, by the way, before we start, I'm sorry, I completely forgot. Let's get over the tiers. So there is 6 tiers in this, and I can already say it's a very even tier list. I think that at the moment balance is quite good. Very few killers need adjustments. Very few killers need actual improvements, in my opinion. But hey, you give me your thoughts. Now, ST is, of course, ignores loops and usually counters everything, ignores most rules of the game, and is basically only limited by how quickly survivors can do gens. A tier is a very strong power in general, very strong, map presence, very strong chasing power, whatever that might be. B tier is middle of the road, just very solid, not horrible, not great. C tier is a bit on the lower end. I think C tier killers, I think it's best to describe them as a bit of a 50-50 always, because against good survivors, there's very little things you can do. And the D tier is the killers that I don't recommend to play. If you want to win, I don't recommend to play them. And we are of course only taking into consideration base kit here, which is not reflecting of the whole killer's possibilities. I'm aware of that, but with so many add-on combinations in the game that have synergy with perks, with some killers like Blight having exponentially stronger add-ons than killers like Ghostface, I think it's, in my opinion at least, the most fair thing to just consider the base kit. Without further ado, let's now get into it. I've been talking way too long. So, Trapper, my main. On my way to P100ing him, I really, really love the Trapper, but God, he feels awful to play. He is not fast, he has nothing in map presence, he in fact can only be, if he wants to use his power effectively, in a certain area of the map, which makes him so much worse than what he could be. He still has to walk around and collect his traps, which on some maps just makes it impossible to use the full extent of your power. Overall, just very weak. The way to play him in this newer maps especially is to play Lockdown, because the newer maps, even the new alien map, the crash site, it does not have any good areas which you can place traps. I'm a bit tired. Place traps in. It is a horrendous experience. You just have to rely on survivors either being very blind or just locking down loops and just M1ing. I'm not saying you can't have fun. He's still very viable on the Macmillan maps, on the Red Forest maps, even though the Red Forest maps are bad for him in a sense because they're big and trap RNG is a thing. So overall, he doesn't have anything really. He has no chasing power. He has no gen control power. He only has the power to 3 gen. And I know I said he has no gen control power because his power doesn't affect the gens, it affects the loops around the gens, which usually the survivors are just going to hold W away if they get hit anyway. Freddy. Freddy's a bit of a tough one to rank. I don't think he's D tier, I don't think he's B tier, C tier. he doesn't really excel at anything. He has a little bit of map movement, and by a little bit I mean a teeny tiny bit, because like every 60 seconds he can teleport to a gen, but he might as well just announce it to everyone in the fucking whole map because of the long windup and the I think it's a map-wide audio queue actually. So he's not really strong. His anti-loop is horrendous, and even if it was a little bit better, like Clown, which we're soon going to see in a second, doesn't push him up much higher. Pallets are just useless. Don't use pallets on him unless you're playing for fun, like really for fun. Yeah, overall, just not a strong killer. Pig. Pig is also tough to rank. You all know the meme, nerf Pig, haha, very funny. I don't think she's horrible. I don't think she's completely horrendous, but she's not B tier material. She doesn't have any anti-loop. She's a complete M1 killer. Oh, she can dash. Nope, she can't. And if you get hit by a Pig dash in a loop, I'm sorry for you, but you should uninstall. And I know this happens. It can happen on accident, but generally, like 95% of the time, you don't get hit with your M2 power. Sorry, not M2 power, with your dash attack. Is it an M2? No, it's an M1 while you're sneaking. So, yeah, doesn't really pump up. By the way, the killers are ranked in from left to right, strongest to weakest in this tier, though as I said, it's not really definitive. You can always have situations where one killer is stronger than the other. Clown, also C tier, a lot of C tier killers here, and that's going to change soon. As I was saying with Freddy, while Freddy has a bit of map presence, Clown only has the anti-loop. That's everything he has. He has nothing else. He has no insane turnaround trump card. He has no slugging potential. The only way to have any kind of snowballing potential with him is if you run Save the Best for Last, the new alien perk, Rapid Brutality, and maybe Brother Strength to end chases quicker. He's not a great character. I don't think they should buff him though, because I can see how he's oppressive against weaker survivors, and I don't think every character needs to be very good, to be honest. Spirit, and that just bumps up the average of this to A tier, because Spirit is the first S tier killer in this tier list. And a lot of you are going to be surprised by my placements, especially because people are considering Spirit to not be equal to Blight anymore. They consider Blight to be a lot stronger, but keep in mind, this is base kit. Spirit base kit is, in my opinion, a lot stronger than Blight base kit. Yes, Blight has insane map movement, but his chasing power is not really as good without sweet add-ons, unless you're really good Blight, but this is like for average people, you know. Legion. I'm sorry, Legion is just horrible. Base kit Legion, 10 seconds of rushing is not enough time to catch up to anyone. He's one of the killers that's countered by holding W. He does get the power back in 20 seconds, so he does get the injure anyway. But after that, he's just an M1 killer with literally no power. He has nothing to call for him. He is very weak. He is he doesn't even have like an easy approach. The best way to play Legion, at least I play it, is either with really, really oppressive slowdown like Thanatophobia, a Tinkerer, Ruin, Pop, or with stealth perks like Tinkerer as well. But Tinkerer, what's the other perk? The Plague perk. It's not horrible. Overall, Legion is not unplayable. I play Legion. I like Legion, but it feels really bad if survivors just hold W the second you hit someone, the second they see that mending bar. They just look where you're coming from, just run in the opposite direction, and 9 out of 10 cases, you're not going to catch up to them. Plague. Plague is solid A tier. I don't think I need to say anything here. Plague is usually a very, very solid killer. Plague does what Legion does better. A lot better. She 100% keeps survivors injured, so if they go for saves while she's, in the area, they will have to trade 100% of the time. She has better detection, in my opinion. Yes, I know Legion has literal killer instinct, but after everyone's injured, everyone's a deep wound. Legion has nothing. Legion can't just use his ability to find anyone, and even if he does, he has to cancel it out. Plague, you have the survivors being so loud when they're infected, it's crazy. And Corrupt Purge, of course, makes up for everything. I think Corrupt Purge is one of the strongest abilities in the game, which is why it's good that it's time-based. Ghostface is gonna be another C tier killer. Nothing much to say. He's just, in my opinion, the second weakest, if not even the weakest in some states, stealth killer in the game. His cooldown is very long. He has not much uptime. If he does get to stalk, he can get some nice downs, but his leaning is wonky. Survivors often reveal you in a weird state. It's kind of weird. It's really dependent on if the survivors know how to counter you, because there's like a specific area in the screen where if you keep Ghostface there, even if he's only out like 40% of his body, you can reveal him. So it's not perfect. Now the first B tier in this list, let's go, is Demo. Demo is, in my opinion, still one of the most middle-of-the-pack killers in the game. And I'm a bit confused how people don't hate him a lot more, because I think he's not that fun to go against, quite frankly. He's got a zoning power, pallet shredding, bit of map control. He's a bit of an all-around killer. He's not weak. He's got a very good chase power. The only thing he's held back by is, in my opinion, map design. And this may sound weird, but you know how many loops are not perfect, like, I don't know, squares, but instead perfect spheres, but instead have like little objects around? He can't really do anything about those. It's not in all maps, but on some maps it's really punishing. I still think he's very good. He's probably the most balanced killer in the game, in my opinion. Oni, this is very tough for me to rank, but I think in the end there's no talking around it. Oni is A tier. It's actually better than Plague in my opinion, just because of his insane snowballing potential. Like if you're a good Oni, one good Blood Fairy can be enough to win the entire game. Of course, realistically that's not going to happen, but even though I don't play Oni a lot, I don't consider myself a good Oni player. If I play him, I don't really have an issue in keeping my blood. What's it called? You know, the amount of blood on the map. And I keep my power. I keep the circle going, where I injure someone and they leave blood, and I can get that to get my power. Then I down one or two people, hook them. Then I can get blood from the person I've injured or that were unhooked. It's a weird situation if all survivors have like medkits, because they can heal up to 2 times each. And if they have healing perks or are very altruistic, you're not going to have as easy of a time. But if you bring 1 or 2 anti-healing perks, Oni's a beast, really. Slinger. Oh, this is... Okay, I've got my notes here, and Slinger's going to be a little bit controversial. But, oh, by the way, why is Clown over Pig? That's not good. Pig has a natural slowdown. I think Slinger is really good. Really good in what he does. That's a joke I wrote down. What he does is anti-looping. He shuts down vaults, he shuts down certain pallets, he shuts down short loops. But in like 60% of the loops, he doesn't do anything. His power takes a long time, but takes quite a while to aim. His punishment for missing a shot is insane. Like, if you miss a shot as Huntress, it doesn't matter. Yeah, Huntress has to reload, I can see that, but you still have, on average, 5 shots a chase as Huntress before you actually have to reload. As Slinger, if you miss a shot without add-ons and then you have to reload, the survivor's gonna make almost like 30 meters distance. If they hold W, gonna be really tough. The only saving grace for Slinger is that, of course, with his built-in deep wounds, he can counter stuff like off the record, borrowed time, dead hard, and to a degree even made for this, because running fast against him doesn't really do much. But he is a 110 killer with a 32 meter terror radius, which I think holds him back. Just bring the terror radius back down to 24, and he would immediately go back to BT. Wraith. I think Wraith is really interesting because it doesn't so much depend on the skill of the Wraith player, but much more on the skill of the Survivor team. Base Kit Wraith is not that strong, but I'd still say he's pretty damn good because he has... as I talked about Demogorgon, I think he's weaker than Demo, But he's got a bit of everything. You know, he's fast at traversing the map. He can sneak up on survivors and get easier hits, which is not a chase power technically, but it still can get him some cheeky downs. And he's got a little speed boost in chase after uncloaking, which isn't huge, but it can help around some tiles. If you play Wraith, you're just an M1 killer. That's all I'm gonna say. You're just playing, someone who can maybe get the first hit in quicker, but then M1 people down. And hit and run Wraith is of course viable, especially with the healing nerfs, which is why he's not in low B or even C. Pyramid Head. I think he's a really, really solid killer. He's top 5 killer in the game, in my opinion. He is so strong. He can hit through walls. He can tunnel people without any, repercussions. He can, not camp. Actually, yeah, hook camp. He can hook camp really well. I think he is just a beast if you play him right, with very little to no counterplay. People complain about Nemesis having his tentacle out, being just as fast as the survivors, and like, oh, I can't dodge. I think Pyramid Head is even worse because his whip, his attack, his punishment is longer. It's not faster technically, but it goes through walls. It doesn't break pallets, but it goes through walls. If you have a survivor, if you vault a window as a survivor and then go to the right immediately, or crouch against the Nemesis, that's okay, yeah, cool. He doesn't hit you, but Pyramid Head, he will hit you. Blight. Now, everyone expecting me to just put him S tier and go on, but I don't think Blight is on pair with Spirit, and I can spoil it now, Nurse, because Blight, the only thing that, in my opinion, sets Blight apart from everyone else is that he has incredible map mobility and no building counters. Like Demogorgon, he has good map mobility, but his tunnels can be destroyed after using it once. Oni, he has very good map mobility, but only in Blood Fury. Outwards of Blood Fury, he's just an M1 killer, no power whatsoever. Billy, it's Billy. He can't even, unless you can run in basically a straight line, you're not going to traverse the whole map. Blight, he can do that. But I don't think default Blight, personally, is really on pair with Spirit and Nurse, who just ignore the basic game. They ignore loops, they ignore distance to a degree, they ignore pallets and windows. Blight still has to play around those things. Yeah, he has an easier time than anyone else. That's why he's the highest one in A tier. But I don't think he's as good as people make him out to be when they say, oh, he's on pair with Nurse. And before you are like, oh, I'm crazy. Yes, I know he's played in comp. By the way, I don't like comp players, but he's played in comp. I acknowledge that. I know that. But they play him with add-ons. They play him even if it's just as little as the yellow speed add-on and I don't know, Adrenaline Vial. He's still very strong with add-ons. Without add-ons, he's not too shabby. Twins. I put Twins in A tier last time. Oh, F tier. No, just kidding. I'm gonna put them in B tier, high B tier. I think Twins are a very solid killer, but are currently held back by one thing, which is holding W. Made for this has made holding W easier than ever, and if you get it down with Victor, which is your only power as Charlotte technically, if you're just in this awkward place where you have a down survivor with Victor, and you have to move your physical body or your Charlotte body over there, which is going to cost you a lot of time, and then there's just Victor standing there. So what you do as Twins is you down someone with Victor, and then you leave them. You just leave them on the ground with Victor, and when someone comes to rescue, you just injure them with Victor and move on. During that time, you M1. But during that time, as I said, you're just an M1 killer. You have nothing, no power whatsoever. Now, the ideal Twins play is, of course, using Victor, attaching him to someone, and then you running into them because they're oblivious. But good survivors will kind of know where you're coming from. They will try to keep a lookout, so they can just hold Victor hostage. So much talking around. I don't think Twins is that great. then again, Twins is my least played killer, and I mean that, least played killer. I've played Skull Merchant more than Twins. Really not that impressive of a power if you think about it. Still very good because Victor's just a very nice map control tool. Trickster, oh my boy. I love the Trickster. His visuals are nice, his voice lines and laugh in game are amazing. You know, the way he interacts with survivors, the way he laughs when someone DCs, it's really funny. He feels alive. And he's also weak as shit. His power does something on like 30% of loops in the game. On some maps, you might as well just not have a power, like Larry's. It's I don't know what to say. He's not a trickster. He's just Huntress, but worse. Not even Huntress. He's just nah. Do something, behavior, please. Nemi is gonna start us off. I think Nemi is better than Demogorgon for the simple reason of zombies. And I know zombies don't do anything, but the sheer fact that they exist and can do something sets them apart. He doesn't have to do anything without zombies. His power is still very good, which is Tentacle. He destroys pallets. He hits survivors very far away. He has a very large window in which he can hit, so he doesn't even have to be very accurate with it. Unlike Demogorgon, which, in my opinion, you have to be quite accurate. He's just the best pallet shredder in the game, in my opinion. Nothing more to say. Pinhead is the perfect middle ground of an anti-loop killer and a slowdown killer, in my opinion. His anti-loop is not very oppressive. It's not totally strong, but it does impact a lot more than Clown, while it also requires skill. It's not just, you throw object on floor, survivor slowed. No, you actually have to put the portal in the right place and then kind of curve the chain. And I know many are like, you just put it behind the survivor and just hold M1, just boop, that's it. Yeah, but if the survivor tries to dodge, it can be very tricky. He's got counterplay, which is sometimes more luck than skill. But I still don't think he's uncounterable, especially in comp's team when they're all in Discord. Now the Lament configuration, I'm aware that is really strong in solo queue because no one really knows what it's doing, what anyone's doing. But I think the fact that the UI was introduced a good while back pumped it down a little bit as well. Because if you see one person being chased, two people on gen, you and some random on gen, and the third random is not doing anything really, you can safely say they are going for the element configuration. Artist. Ooh. Now, originally, I thought Artist is on pair with Blight easily. If not even better. Quite frankly, I thought she's like Spirit. I have played her when she came out a lot. She was one of the 5 characters I prestige 3'd before the update. I think she's still strong. I think she's still a very solid killer, but overall, she's just not as impactful as Spirit when it comes to looping. She can lock down loops for a short amount of time. She has got a decent amount of map presence, but she's just, when it comes to map presence, a little bit weaker than Blight. And when it comes to anti-loop, she's just a little bit weaker than Spirit. I still think she's a very solid killer, and if you're good with her, survivors are going to have a hard time against you. Unreal. Yeah. Okay, so hear me out. Right? Condemned Sadako is very frightening, in solo queue especially. Just hold a tape. She's good. She's got map control, map presence. She's got a good amount of sneak possibility. But just get a tape. The fact that the secondary objective provided to the survivors, which actively counters the condemned playstyle, condemned in general, is also the one that counters her map mobility. Just makes her not that strong, to be honest. She's not that great as people think she is. Dredge. I say Dredge is a little bit better than Sadako, because instead of having great map movement, he also has a very decent anti-loop. The only thing that holds him back is map design. There is a lot of maps that just don't enable him to teleport a lot. There is a lot of situations in which Nightfall doesn't do anything really. Overall, sorry, I'm really tired. Overall, decent enough killer. If you go with him, he can be very oppressive, but he's not that great. Oh well. I thought him to be 80, but I started playing him. Wesker. Wesker's just very good. He's got good map movement, he's got very good chasing power, he's got a decent slowdown passively. He is just overall a very well designed killer. Fun to use with good counterplay. His hitboxes are a bit wonky sometimes, but overall, I think one of the best designed killers in the whole game. Nothing more to say. Billy, oh, how you have fallen. CTR. I don't think I put him much higher last time anyway. I didn't check the video out for whatever reason to see my old rankings, but Billy is just... He's just... Sorry, looking for words. I'm kind of tearing up right now. It's so sad because I love playing Billy. He doesn't do anything specifically, I mean. Whereas even, like, I don't know, Clown, for example. I know that might be bad because Clown is also ranked a bit less, but even where Clown can secure a down somewhere 100% after with enough setup, you just have to make sure to put them in a dead zone, and then you can put a yellow bottle, then you can put a pink bottle, and then you can catch up and down them. Billy doesn't excel at anything. He has okayish map movement, which is restricted by some maps. He's got an okayish chasing power on some maps. He's got insta-down potential. That's the only thing that saves him. If he didn't have that insta-down, if his chainsaw didn't insta-down, which would be completely ridiculous, he would just be probably one of the D tiers. I don't think there's not much more to say. Knight. Nothing more to say. Knight is genuinely such a horrible, horrible killer. He doesn't do anything specifically. By the way, there is no F tiers. I don't know if I said this. I think I did. So you may think, oh, so Knight is the weakest killer. No, Knight is not the weakest killer in the game. Knight is one of the weakest. I think that everyone up until B tier, I'd say, can just feel like the weakest killer in the game. The issue I have with with Knight the most is that he is heavily, heavily countered by the W. By Mate for this, he is heavily countered by people just completely booking it to the other side of the map, and as a 115 killer M1, he just has to catch up. His power is easily countered, the AI is really janky, and unlike Nemesis, for example, where, sometimes the zombies are shit, yeah, but they exist. They're not like a fraction of your power, they just exist, and, sometimes you do get value, sometimes you don't. You don't really need them in 80% of the matches. Whereas the AI on Knight is like 90% of the power. I'm aware that you can use the ghosts to kick generators, destroy pallets, cut off ways, and proxy camp-ish, but he doesn't excel at it. I think I play Knight quite a bit, and I think I've gotten like an average of 2 ghost hits per game, maybe 3. Very few games where the power actually does something, because it just also takes quite a while to set down, and as I said, holding W is just so strong. Now to everyone's favorite killer, yeah, the Skull Merchant. Despite her being so oppressive in her 3-gen, despite her being insanely strong when it comes to, you know, holding those last generators, defending certain areas, she's a really bad killer. I base kit, she just doesn't excel at anything. She doesn't. Oh, she's got anti-loop. Survives just hold W. She's also countered by W. The only saving grace why she isn't in D tier as well, or in lowest C tier, is because she can hold that 3-gen the best. No one can hold a 3-gen better. Knight, in comparison, is laughable at. Really, really is. Don't want to talk about it much longer. Singularity. Yeah. I think he's lower B tier. He's one of the killers that's dependent on how good the survivors are. How good do they utilize the resources given to them to counter the killer? How well are they in, you know, keeping up the economy of EMPs? How well do they spend their time? Do they get rid of the infection, or do they just do the gen if they know there's no bipod? You know, things like that. Overall, maps hold them back quite a bit as well, because for some reason cameras have a limited range of like 30 meters. But yeah, not overly oppressive. His overclock is pretty decent. It's a nice chasing tool. But if the survivor has an EMP in their hands, you usually don't have empower. You're just an M1 killer. Nurse. Yeah. Huntress. I think Huntress is still very stable, very solid killer. Huntress has always been one of the better killers. She's one of the very few killers that can get a single down in like 10 seconds if the survivor, you know, is at least holding W or shift W. She's got a very high skill ceiling, a lot of potential, decent camping. The only thing she lacks is map presence, and even that she makes up to a degree, depending on the map, if it's not an indoor map, and the skill of the Huntress, with being able to hit anyone across the map. Against the Huntress, you basically always have to be mindful, where is she right now? What is she doing? Could she be preparing a hatchet at me? Because if you go down against the Huntress, she doesn't even have to pick you up. That's just a better twins, because you have someone down, and you still have your power. Myers. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. It's not it. It is not it. He's bad. Don't think I need to say anything here. He's just not great. Really not. Truly. Truly a shame. Oh, you need add-ons. Now, Tombstone Myers is a completely different deal. Tombstone Myers is like A tier, but nah. I think he's the weakest stealth killer. He's one of the weakest. Because unlike Trapper, for example, he starts the match in the weak state. Trapper is at least an 115 M1 killer the whole match. Myers isn't even. Hag. Hag is very underrated, man. People say, oh, Hag is like bit BT. You know, no one plays Hag. No one knows how to play Hag. If you've ever faced a good Hag, she will dominate you. She will destroy you. Unless you're a 4-man on comms and you can use like the clock system or whatever on the maps to call out her traps. Good Hag will always slightly alter the playstyle if she knows she's getting countered. A good Hag will hold those last 3, if not even 4 gens. A good Hag will 100% of the time not commit to anyone that she knows she can't get down in like 15 seconds. So yeah. Okay, Doctor. This is interesting because Doctor is someone I actually got a lot of backlash for putting in. I think it was C tier, low C tier, last tier list. Everyone was like, "What do you mean, Doctor is so strong? You've got to be trolling, man." Truth is, Doctor is not strong. His anti-loop is, while it's there, it doesn't slow down the survivors, it slows you down. As Doctor, it's basically just run around the loop, shock, run around the loop, shock, run around the loop, shock, run around the loop, shock. Because that's just his only power. He doesn't do anything besides that. Yeah, he does have a tool for finding people, but that's about it. You know, bit of slowdown. Oh, every like 30 seconds. Sorry. Every like 30 seconds, a survivor that has been chased has to perform a 5-second action. One survivor, mind you, not all of them. Yeah, Doctor is an M1 killer, and unlike Clown, which has an anti-loop that doesn't slow him down but only affects the survivor, Doctor is affected by his own power. Now, a Doctor player who knows the timing very well, I think Doctor can be very viable, and he can be in high C tier, if not even low B tier. But for the average player without add-ons, Doctor's just not that strong, man. Doctor really isn't that strong. Moving on to Bubba, the neutral good of DbD. Just nothing to say. He's perfectly fine in the middle. He's got a very threatening close-up tool. He's got a very threatening, camping ability. He has a decent shredding ability. I think, Demo and Nemi do it better. That's why they're a bit higher. He doesn't have zoning like Demo. He doesn't have the ability to counter windows as well as pallets as Nemi. But I still think the Instadel makes more than up for it. And last but not least, the latest addition to the game, the Xenomorph. Now, I was originally gonna put him into like mediocre B tier, maybe high B tier, above Nemesis, because from what I felt from the PTB, he's just a little bit better than Nemesis. He's got map movement, which is very nice, but I actually think, okay, hear me out. I think his map movement is worse than Demogorgon's, because the control stations are in set areas survivors can observe. Unlike Demo, where he can place his own portals and surprise people, Xeno is bound to these tunnels, bound. Yeah, okay, whatever. So, yeah, from what I had in the PTB, he's just kind of here-ish. And then Behavior released him on live. They did a overhaul of some of his add-ons, and they just, for God knows what reason, buffed the ever-living shit out of his tail whip. He's just a very strong killer at the moment. I think his tracing power, if you don't have any turrets prepared, if you don't play as team, is so oppressive that in 50% of the loops, he will down you. You can't get a lot of distance. Holding W is not an option against him. And he even has the map movement. What makes him so strong? It's just really a bit of a crazy back and forth with him. But overall, he's just such a good killer at the moment, and quite frankly, I hope Behavior nerfs him, so we can just put him into high B tier and call it a day. So yeah, that is the current tier list as it stands, in my opinion. From patch, let me actually check the current patch so I don't say anything wrong. I think it's 7.2.0, but I might be wrong. Let me check. Yep, there it is. No, wait. Yeah, 7.2.0. Yeah, nothing I have to say more than that. Thank you for watching. Share your opinions. Make sure to check out my Twitch. Make sure to join my Discords. You're not going to do that anyway. You just watched this video for you're probably clicked off right now. But if you're still watching, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Do consider liking the video. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, even though I don't upload a lot. And that feedback, if I look at it, it really does help me push myself to make content. Anyway, thank you for watching. Give me your thoughts and have a great day.